We are obsessed with being the last one standing. We spend our lives training to be the best, to be the undefeated, to be the one who never tastes the dirt. We think that once we reach the summit, we'll finally be free. But look at the man who actually made it. Lord Kaito. 40 years without a scratch. 40 years of absolute, soul-crushing victory. Everyone in the world wanted his life. But Kaito? He was willing to burn his entire legacy to the ground just to escape it. Because he discovered the one truth that winners are too afraid to admit. The summit is a graveyard, and the trophy is a tombstone. Today, we go behind the steel. We explore why the most powerful warrior in history chose to fail on purpose. This isn't just a story about a fight. This is a story about the cage you've built for yourself and how to break it. Welcome to Aura Chronicles. Prepare to lose. They tell you that history is a song sung by the victors. From the second you could crawl, the world began whispering its poison into your ear. They taught you that life is a ladder, and the only way to climb is to step on the fingers of those below you. We are conditioned to crave the crush of a rival's spirit. We are told that a man's aura, his very essence, is measured by the length of the shadow he casts over the fallen. But look closer at the man at the top. Look at Lord Kaito. Meet the undefeated god of the Eastern Gale. For 40 years, Kaito has walked through the fire of 100 provinces, and yet his skin has never felt the cold kiss of an enemy's steel. He has moved through the chaos of war like a ghost through a graveyard, untouchable, ethereal, and terrifyingly perfect. To his enemies, he is not a man. He is a natural disaster, an act of God that you do not fight, but simply endure. To his students, he is the mountain they spend their lives trying to scale. But here is the truth they don't tell you in the legends. The higher the mountain, the thinner the air, and Kaito is suffocating. You see, Kaito possesses a secret so dark it would make the most ambitious king throw away his crown and flee into the woods. Kaito is bored. But boredom is a word for children. What Kaito feels is a spiritual rot. He is trapped in a prison that he built with his own excellence. Every time his blade found its mark, another link was forged in a chain he couldn't see. Every time a warlord bowed to him in surrender, a new iron bar rose to block his view of the world. Because when you never lose, you lose the most precious human right of all, the right to grow. Perfection is a dead end. When you are the best, there is no better. There is only the frantic, paranoid guarding of your status. You become a statue, magnificent to behold, yes, but cold, stationary, and utterly dead inside. Kaito realized that he hadn't learned anything new in 20 years. He hadn't felt the sting of a mistake or the adrenaline of a near miss. He was a god, and gods are static. They are finished. Kaito watched them from the shadows of the porch. He watched his students, young men and women with souls like raw iron waiting to be forged. They mimicked his every breath. They obsessed over the angle of his wrist, the exact millisecond of his footwork, the way he adjusted his collar before a strike. They thought they were learning the path to power. They didn't realize they were just measuring themselves for their own coffins. Kaito saw the fire in their eyes and felt a profound, aching pity. He realized that by being invincible, he was lying to them.
He was showing them a destination, but he was hiding the cost of the journey. He was teaching them how to be victors, but he wasn't teaching them how to be alive. In their pursuit of his perfection, they were becoming rigid. They were becoming blind to the beauty of the struggle because they were so terrified of the shame of the fall. He saw his lead student, Ren, a boy with more talent than sense. Ren didn't just want to be a swordsman, he wanted to be a monument. He wanted to be the next undefeated god. And in that moment, Kaito knew he had failed as a teacher. He had created a cult of winning, a religion of the result. He had taught them how to win the war, but he had left them defenseless against the peace.
So, the master made a choice. He decided to commit the ultimate heresy. He decided to break the most sacred law of the warrior's code. He realized that as long as he stood on that mountain, his students would never look at the stars. They would only look at his back. To save them, he had to destroy himself. To give them back their humanity, he had to lose his divinity. He looked at his flawless white robes and realized they were actually a shroud. He looked at his undefeated title and realized it was a headstone. Lord Kaito, the god of the Eastern Gale, decided that for the first time in 40 years, he would do the only thing he had never done before, something more difficult than any battle he had ever won. He decided to fail. And he wouldn't just fail, he would do it in front of the world. He would let the dirt reclaim him. He would let the aura of the invincible warrior shatter like cheap glass so that something real could finally grow in its place. Ren was the perfect candidate for this ritual of slaughter. He was the pinnacle of what a student should be: fast, lethal, and devastatingly arrogant. To Ren, victory wasn't a goal, it was the only oxygen worth breathing. He had spent 10 years carving his body into a weapon, all for this one moment. He didn't want to learn from the master, he wanted to displace him. He wanted the crown, the title, and the cage, though he was too young to know it was made of gold. The crowd roared, a sound that would have buckled the knees of lesser men. They hadn't come for a contest, they had come for a sacrifice. They expected Kaito to finish the boy in 3 seconds, a flick of the wrist, a blur of white silk, and a body on the floor. That was the script, that was the aura they paid to see. For the first 10 minutes, Kaito played the part. He gave them the victory they craved. He was a whirlwind of impossible geometry. He moved not like a fighter, but like a choreographer of death. Ren lunged, a strike that could split a boulder, and Kaito parried it with nothing but the tip of his wooden scabbard. Ren attacked again, a flurry of 5 strikes in 2 seconds, and Kaito simply stepped an inch to the left, letting the air of the blade ruffle his hair. He was showing them absolute, suffocating dominance. He was demonstrating why he was a god. Every move was a statement. You cannot touch me. You cannot challenge me. You are nothing. But then, in the heat of the clash, Kaito felt it. He felt that familiar, icy aura of perfection rising within him. It was a cold, numbing sensation that turned his blood to mercury. He looked at Ren's face. The boy wasn't growing. He wasn't discovering his own strength. Ren was shrinking. Behind the aggression in the boy's eyes, Kaito saw a terrifying, hollow panic. Ren was so afraid of losing to the legend, so terrified of the shadow Kaito cast, that his spirit was beginning to wither.
He was becoming a desperate animal, lashing out not with skill, but with the fear of shame. Kaito thought, if I win today, I kill his soul. If I strike him down now, I remain a god in their eyes, and he remains a permanent servant to my myth. I will have succeeded as a warrior, but I will have failed as a human being. I must break the cage, not just for me, but for him.
The moment of the great deception arrived. Ren lunged. It was a sloppy, desperate thrust born of total physical and mental exhaustion. It was a strike so telegraphed, so clumsy, that even a half-blind amateur could have dodged it with ease. To a man who could catch arrows in his teeth, to a man who had survived 100 ambushes in the dark, this was nothing. But Kaito did the impossible. He did the one thing his aura would never allow. He stepped into the blade. He didn't move his hand to parry. He didn't shift his weight to soften the blow. He didn't use his energy to deflect. He allowed the wooden practice sword to strike his chest with the raw, unmitigated force of a falling oak. Lord Kaito, the undefeated, the god of the gale, let himself stumble. He let his feet tangle. He let the gravity he had defied for 40 years finally claim him. The silence that followed was louder than any war cry. It was the sound of 10,000 hearts stopping at once. A god had touched the dirt. The invincible was on his knees, head bowed, his chest heaving with a breath that was no longer perfect. Ren stood over him, his sword still extended, trembling so violently the wood rattled. He looked down at the man he had spent his life idolizing, and he didn't see a defeated enemy. He saw something far more terrifying. He saw a man. In that moment of defeat, Kaito had achieved something far greater than victory. He had committed the ultimate sacrifice. He had shattered the mirror of his own perfection so that his student could finally see himself. The aura of the god was gone, replaced by the humble, flickering light of a human being who was finally, for the first time in 40 years, free.
I won, Ren whispered. The words felt like ash in his mouth. In his dreams, this moment was accompanied by the roar of the heavens and the taste of immortality. But in reality, there was only the smell of kicked-up dirt and the sight of his hero, the man who was supposed to be a mountain, kneeling in the sand. Ren felt cheated. He felt a primal, terrifying vertigo, as if the ground beneath the arena had suddenly turned to water. If the undefeated could fall, then nothing in the world was stable. If the god of the gale could be struck by a sloppy, exhausted lunge, then the last 10 years of Ren's life, his training, his sacrifices, his obsession, were a lie. He didn't feel like a champion. He felt like a blasphemer. Kaito looked up. The crowd expected to see shun. They expected to see the withered face of a man whose legacy had just been incinerated. But when Kaito turned his eyes toward Ren, there was no darkness there. For the first time in 40 decades, the master's eyes were clear of the aura of perfection. He smiled. It was a small, fragile thing. Not the smirk of a king, but the relieved grin of a man who had just stepped out of a burning building. "Master, why?" Ren's voice cracked, a jagged scream that tore through the silence of the arena. "You moved left. I saw it. Your weight was perfect. You could have ended me before my blade even left my side. Why did you let me win? Why did you kill the legend?" Kaito stood up slowly. His joints creaked, a sound the crowd had never heard before. He didn't hide his effort. He didn't use his aura to mask his age. He stood as a 60-year-old man who had lived a hard life. He brushed the dust from his white robes, but the stains remained. He felt the strange, profound affection for them. "Victory is a cage, Ren." Kaito's voice wasn't a roar. It was a calm, steady stream that seemed to carry more weight than all his previous commands combined. When you win, the world stops seeing a man and starts seeing a monument. They expect you to stay the same. They demand that you never fail, never bleed, and never change. You become a slave to your own reputation. You stop exploring the path because you are too afraid of losing the ground you have already conquered. Kaito stepped closer to his student, ignoring the sword Ren still held between them. "Look at me, Ren. For 40 years, I was the undefeated. Do you know what that feels like? It feels like being buried alive in a tomb of gold. I couldn't make a mistake. I couldn't try a new technique. I couldn't be curious. I had to be perfect every second of every day because the legend demanded it. I stopped being a warrior 40 years ago. I became a statue, a beautiful, untouchable statue in a cage of my own success." "Today," Kaito continued, his voice growing warmer, "I lost my reputation. I lost my title. I lost the god they all came to worship. And in return, I found the world again. I can feel the wind now, Ren, because I am no longer trying to be the storm. I can learn again. I can fail again. I can look at a blade and wonder what if, instead of knowing exactly what is. I am no longer the god of the gale. I am simply a man who knows how to hold a sword." He reached out and gently pushed Ren's practice sword aside with one finger. "You think you won a title today, my son, but I have given you something far more dangerous. I have given you the chance to see that the dirt is not a place of shame. It is the only place where things actually grow. Nothing grows on the peak of a mountain. It is too cold, too static, too final. Life happens in the valley. Life happens in the stumble. Life happens when you realize that the cage of victory is only as strong as your fear of the fall." Kaito turned his back to the royal box, to the judges, and to the 10,000 people who were waiting for a speech. He didn't bow. He didn't seek their approval. He walked toward the exit of the arena, his gait slightly uneven, his robes stained, his head held not with pride, but with a quiet, terrifying peace. In that moment, the Chronicles of the Aura changed forever. The Master hadn't just taught Ren how to fight, he had taught him how to survive the win. He had shown him that the ultimate victory isn't defeating your opponent. It's defeating the version of yourself that is too afraid to lose. Lord Kaito walked out of the great arena and into the mists of the morning, leaving behind a crown of iron for a life of boundless, beautiful failure.
Lord Kaito walked away from the Mountain of Blades, but his journey didn't end at the arena gates. It began there, and so does yours. Take a moment, look at the life you have built. Look at the walls you have meticulously raised around your identity. Now ask yourself the question that Kaito finally had the courage to answer. What is your cage? We are all architects of our own imprisonment. For some of you, the cage is the desperate need to be the smartest person in every room, the fear that if you don't have the answer, you have no value.
For others, the bars are forged from the terror of looking foolish in front of your peers, a fear so paralyzing that it keeps your greatest ideas locked inside your head, where they can never be judged but never be born. Is it the obsession with the win that is holding you back? Are you so terrified of a zero on your record that you've stopped entering the game entirely? We have become a generation of masters of tiny rooms. We stay where it is safe. We stay where we are undefeated. We stay where our aura is unchallenged, never realizing that the walls are closing in and we can no longer see the horizon.
We spend our entire lives building these monuments of success, piling up trophies and titles like Kaito's Mountain of Swords. We think we are building a throne, but we are actually building a tomb. On the cold, hard throne of absolute victory, nothing grows. It is a sterile environment. It is the peak of the mountain where the air is too thin for life to take root. Kaito failed on purpose because he understood a fundamental law of the universe that we have forgotten. The dirt is not a place of shame. The dirt is the only place where things grow. Everything beautiful, everything strong, everything resilient began its life in the dark, under the pressure of the earth, struggling against the weight of the world. When Kaito touched the sand of the arena, he wasn't losing his power. He was reconnecting with his source. He was showing his students, and he is showing you, that to be undefeated is to be dead. To be perfect is to be finished. Your aura was never meant to be a spotlight that blinds others so they can't see your flaws. That is a weak man's shield. A true aura is the heat of the forge. It is the internal fire that allows you to melt down your old self and transform into something new. It is the energy required to fail, to learn, and to rise again. If your aura doesn't allow for the shame of a loss, then it isn't an aura, it's a mask.
Why are you so afraid of the fall? The fall is where the data is. The fall is where the truth lives. Success is a poor teacher. It tells you that you are right, even when you are just lucky. But failure? Failure is honest. Failure strips away the ego and leaves you with the raw materials of greatness. The master destroyed his legacy to save his soul. He realized that as long as he was a god, he couldn't be a student. And the moment you stop being a student, you start dying. You might still be winning, you might still be collecting the checks and the applause, but the aura chronicles of your life have reached their final boring chapter. Break the cage, shatter the expectation that you must always be the one who knows, the one who wins, the one who stays untouchable. If you find yourself in a streak of perfect victories, be terrified. It means you aren't playing a big enough game. It means you have stopped growing. Fail on purpose if you have to. Throw away a win that requires you to sacrifice your growth. Step into the blade of a challenge that you know might defeat you, because in that defeat, you will find a version of yourself that the undefeated version could never imagine. You will find a resilience that doesn't depend on the score. You will find a freedom that only comes when you have nothing left to lose. Don't be afraid to lose the fight. Be afraid of winning so much that you forget how to fight. The cage is open. The dirt is waiting. The horizon is calling. Break the cage. Just keep moving. This is Aura Chronicles. Stay legendary.
Kaito didn't walk away from the arena because he was tired. He walked away because he finally woke up. He realized that as long as he was the legend, he couldn't be a human. Now the blade is in your hands. Are you going to keep polishing an undefeated record in a room that gets smaller every year? Or are you brave enough to step into a fight that might actually break you? The world doesn't need more statues of perfection. It needs people who aren't afraid to bleed, to stumble, and to grow. Don't be afraid to lose the fight. Be afraid of winning so much that you forget how to fight. The dirt is waiting. The horizon is open. And the cage? The cage was never locked. You just had to be willing to fail to find the key. Break the cage. Just keep moving. If this chronicle shifted something in your aura, subscribe to The Path, like and share this with one soul currently trapped in their own victory. Fail often, grow always, stay legendary. This is Aura Chronicles.